Hi guys, it's Ray from Ray's Turquoise Turtle. Today I wanted to do a little video on keychains, resin keychains. Specifically, I'm going to work with alphabets, letter keychains today. And these are just a couple that are finished. So I don't have one part out here that I wanted to show you, but I can show you on another one. This is how to look complete. Your epoxy letter and a little tassel and the keychain components. All of these parts can be found on Amazon, AliExpress, wherever you're comfortable ordering supplies. We'll get more into this in a few minutes. I have an alphabet mold. You're going to notice that the letters are all backwards. That is because the back side will be dull when it comes out, but the front side will remain shiny and completely smooth, where the back might have a little bit of a lip if it was the other way. The ones that are regular will still work, but I prefer the backwards direction. So I have that. I have a bunch of epoxy mixed up. I have an assortment of glitters, medicine cups to mix in, and the components. This is a finished letter that's not assembled. This is a finished letter that already has an eye hook in it. These are the parts that I can't find to actually show you a full assembly. It's just a little tiny eye on a screw, just like any other. They're just small for crafting size stuff. If you pull your letters out of the mold before they're fully cured, but once they're hardened, you can hand tighten them in. If they're fully hardened, this one's been kicking around for probably 3 months. You won't be able to hand screw it in. You will snap the eye every single time and end up with it inside your piece. So for that, when they are hard, I have this very cheap Drill Master rotary tool from Frieght. It comes with a tool, an accessory set that you can buy if you don't buy the version that comes with it, that has this little tiny drill bit. It is perfect for drilling a tiny hole in top. There are also hand drills that you can buy that will work the same. I prefer the rotary tool just because it's faster. You'll notice these are all different thicknesses. This SI is really thick. I do try to keep to this, and someday I will measure the mold and see how much epoxy it takes for each and every letter and make a list, but I have not done that yet. The letters are 2 inches tall, and this is my preferred thickness. It's just over 1/4 inch thick, maybe 1/3. So like I said, someday I will measure to do that, but I just eyeball it because the mold itself is so deep. You don't want to fill it entirely. So to assemble, I would, once your eye hook's in, you would grab your keychain. There's several styles of keychain. For these ones, I kind of like these that have the little hook. I'll bring that back too. I just like the cleaner look on this particular style. But you can use and again, all of these parts, AliExpress, Amazon, sometimes you can pick them up at Walmart. But you can use these ones with the chain, and then you can put your tassel on somewhere along the chain. These ones have a jump ring attached. A jump ring is a single circle that opens up by bending it sideways. You would bend it straight apart from itself. I personally prefer not to use jump rings on keychains. Like, I would take that off and I would replace it with a split ring. A split ring is like a keychain style. I actually have a bigger one of each to show you. But a split ring is a double loop, more like an actual key ring. To me, that's more secure. A split ring should never be opened this way, but sometimes if you pull too hard on the keychain, it'll just open. So, split rings and jump rings, use your preference. But I'll show you on this one. This one has a split ring between the eye and the keychain. And then I added the clip part. And then this has a split ring on the tassel and around the key ring. I like that because it gives it movement. One of these did not have that. I'll show you that. So it's a little snugger on there. And this one also does not have one down here. So you can do it either way. Depends on if you want to go through extra steps and extra components. Both ways will work. And that is it for those parts. Tassels. And these are just little baby tassels. This is a package of 160 that I got on Amazon for maybe $10. $11, $12. There's all kinds. I just buy the random mixed bags and then pick the color that suits my project, or a contrasting color, or just grab one of the neutrals. You can buy packs that are simply one color. Like, say you were doing firefighter wife ones. You could just buy a bag of red tassels. So, that's the tassel part. Again, Amazon or AliExpress, probably even Wish. Just depends on how long you want to wait for things to arrive. So, I already mixed up some resin. I'm going to set this off just a little bit for a moment. I haven't done these in a while, so I don't really remember at all how much it takes for each one. But I'm going to start with 7, since that's how many cups are in my hand. And I am just going to pour some epoxy in each cup. Some of the letters are bigger, so they'll take more. I don't think there's any two letters that take the exact same amount. I mixed up 80 milliliters in each cup. 40 milliliters of part A and 40 milliliters of part B. I didn't want to do that on camera because it's boring and you've seen it a million times. I'm just going to try and get as much as I can out. Put that to the side. If I have too much, I'll do more. I don't recommend mixing too much epoxy at once, because if you don't work fast enough, it'll harden up in your cups and then it's wasted. So that's good to start. I do have a little bit left in that cup in case I need to add more, make more, or whatever. So I'm gonna do one with some extra fine black glitter. This is just craft glitter from the craft store. It was from AC Moore, but they're gone now, as you may or may not know, depending on where you live. You do want quite a bit of glitter. but you don't want it so much glitter that it's dry. Also, I mixed this epoxy before I started because when you're mixing glitter and epoxy to pour in a mold, you want to give it a little bit of time to sit. If it's too thin, all of the glitter will sink to the bottom or float to the top, depending on the type of glitter. And it won't get a good even, like this one has a really good distribution. There's no flat spots where there's glitter sitting. One of these, if I can find it. This one is a really fine glitter, and you can see where it kind of pooled a little bit. I'm not terribly concerned. It doesn't look bad, but this was probably thinner resin and too much glitter. But you can see the difference where it didn't and where it did. Okay, so I'm going to, I have glitter spoons, but I'm just going to pour some in. And I'm going to use popsicle sticks to mix it. And yes, I should be wearing gloves. But you want it to saturate, but not be too thick. Again, this is a really fine glitter, so this one may settle. And I think that black isn't going to have a ton of sparkle. So I have this glitter over here, just disco. It's kind of like a holographic-y, but I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there to maybe give it some shimmer. Not a lot, just a little. Okay. Maybe some of them I'll peek through once it's poured. I'm going to go ahead and mix all of these to start, just because it's easier. And you can use chunkies, you can use fines. This one's from Love All Bling Castellaries, one of my favorite companies to order from. It's called Under the Sea. It's a chunky mix, and these ones are dots, not hexes. So when I say glitter spoons, I mean little scoopy spoons. Some of the glitter companies send a couple of small spoons. Actually, all the ones I had to start with came from Solar Color Dust and Glitter Hippo, but I liked them. But eventually you'll get resin on them or whatever, and they'll get gross. So I found little tiny, I think they're ice cream scoop sample spoons, but they work great. So that's good. I'm going to try this one. I haven't done it in a keychain yet. I'm probably not going to put as much, but this is a foil confetti glitter. My mom and I were talking about foil confettis the other day, so I feel the need to use it. Typically, I find foil confetti glitters to be a nightmare, more so than other glitters. This is actually, I used this on a tumbler, which was a mistake. But when I opened the bottle, I don't have it out here, the bottle is still 100% full, plus everything that went on the tumbler, and this entire extra. So I was not expecting that when I opened it. I'm using popsicle sticks for all of this right now, but you can use your metal spoons or stirrers or whatever you're comfortable with. I do typically use my mother sent me a ton of, this is only a couple of them. You can see where this one's got some resin that needs to be cleaned off. But she sent me a ton of stainless spoons and sticks and things. So I do try to use those and then just wipe them off with a baby wipe when I'm done. It's a little more environmentally friendly. This is another one from Castellari's Love All Bling. It is Beautiful Blizzard. It is another chunky mix. These ones are hexes, but they are like a opaly white. So I'm going to go ahead and use this on one. I have some of that purple on that spoon, so I'm going to wipe that off later. The spoons are great for your bagged glitters especially, obviously, or your little bags of micas, glow powders, things like that, that aren't in a shaker or anything. This is another Love All Bling. It's called Mermaid Dreams. I'm going to go ahead and use that one since it's right here. This is a large chunky mix. Got a couple in that one, but that'll be fine. And I'm going to do one with, I love these holographic silver mixes. I have several from several companies. This is one of my favorites. This is Y2K from Two Birds Designs. I also buy one of my brands of resin from her. She is a faux Rizzle distributor. So it's another one of my favorites. Alright, and I have one left to do. So I'm going to go back to just a craft glitter. These are just a package of Martha Stewart ones from Michaels. It comes like 9 or 12 to a pack. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. That's not opened, of course. And again, this is a pretty fine glitter, so it may have some settling. It'll be fine. I was going to do one with some silver leaf, but we'll see if I have enough left over after I pour these in. Just for something different than glitter was why I was going to do that. You can pour these with your mica powders. You can pour them with alcohol inks for solid colors. I just tend to go with the glitters because people seem to like glitter. I am working over a silicone mat, so I'll be able to wipe the glitter off into the trash and not down my drain. Okay, so those are all done. I'm going to move them out of the way. I'm going to move this cup over onto this tray. And there are some bubbles coming to the top of some of these. It's not as warm in here right now, so it didn't mix as smooth. Putting my gloves on before I do this part because this is where I will get resin on me most likely. I am going to, just very quickly, because I can see a lot of bubbles sitting on the top of that one, so I'm going to grab my torch and just hit it quick. Because I don't want to torch the silicone tray. you won't, it's silicone, nothing sticks to it, right? But if you torch them with the resin, it will stick. You will get yourself in a bit of a bind, and you will end up ripping your mold if you overdo it, especially these ones, which are fairly thin. This mold should be cleaner. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm not really that worried about it. So I'm just going to pick a letter and try to pour it in. And some of these, on the smaller letters, there's enough to do 2 in each of these cups. But just kind of judge how full it is. This mold is so thick, I don't even need to fill halfway. So that was the H. And I think I'll go ahead and do the E with the rest of this color. And I don't have enough left in here to do another full letter, so I'm just going to finish it off between the 2 that I already did. But that was, of course I can't read the edge right now. That was maybe 20 to 25 milliliters after the glitter was added. So each letter is going to take anywhere between probably 10 and 15, depending on how large a letter it is. I'm going to go ahead and do the D with this one. Try not to get it all over the top. You can kind of judge with your stick how deep it is. And I don't really have enough to do another letter with this one, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. I don't think I mixed as much in this cup to begin with. Plus, again, it's a larger letter. You are going to get into letters that will take the full 20 or 25. All right. Just going to start stacking these over here. I'm going to go ahead and do this black, which honestly, I'm really not loving. It's going to look more solid black when it's done. But I'm going to go ahead and use the P on this one. And that is full enough. And I really don't think I have enough of that to do a secondary letter. My Y2K, I'm going to go ahead and do the T. I'm trying to do 2 smaller letters with this one. And then if I go ahead and go to, I think I'll do the I. And these will set up to the point of being able to remove in probably 6 to 8 hours. Depending on if they're hard enough at that point, I can go ahead and put the eye hooks in. And if not, I will let them sit longer. And if I have to, I will just go ahead and use the tool to do it. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the C in this white. And it will flow around and fill in. kind of trying to eyeball where I'm at depth-wise. And I think I'll go ahead and do the J because that is another smaller letter. There's plenty in here to do that. Should be fine. Okay. Grab a sip of coffee. I'm gonna grab that blue. I'm gonna go with the M because the M is fairly large and this cup is pretty full right now. It's about 25. So actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead with the W because I do believe the W takes the absolute most. You think the W and the M would take exactly the same, but they're not quite opposites of each other. So that took, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of that in. That took 25. So that is going to be your absolute biggest. So the smallest one I've done probably took 12 and 10. That would be the I. So anywhere from 10 to 25. And I've got this purple foil. And because it's a foil, I kind of wanted to have some room to spread out. It's only about 20 cc's in here though, so I'm gonna go ahead and do, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the B. Give it a little bit more. I do recommend anytime you work with any kind of epoxy on any project that you have some kind of mold handy. Even if they're just small squares that you can turn into a magnet later on. Something. Rather than wasting any excess. Okay. So these are done. Hopefully the bubbles will rise and pop. I'm gonna grab another cup. I don't know if you can see where I'm at, so let me get these out of the way. I'm gonna bring in my unmixed again. I don't want to put him off the edge, but okay. I think you're in frame. I have these imitation silver leaf. I have a gold and I have a copper also. I just have the silver out here. I love what these do in resin. So I'm going to try one on this keychain. But this is how it looks. It's chunks of leafing. It will get everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this resin into this cup. And this has been sitting, so it is somewhat thick, but that is okay because that will actually work to my advantage with the leafing. It'll keep it suspended a little bit better in the resin. So I mix my epoxy in silicone cups, that way they are cleanable. I wash them out, and sometimes I don't even wash them. Once it dries on there, it just flakes back off. So this is like a hot mess. You don't really want to apply it to something one piece at a time. But I just pull a chunk out and drop it on top. I'm going to do a little bit more, and that should be plenty. Grab my stick, and it'll break down more as you mix it into the epoxy. You don't have to sit there and chunk it up or anything. And you can use as little or as much as you want. It depends on how much clear you want to show through. But I think these are neat. I got the 3-pack on Amazon. But that's it. Easiest leaf you'll ever find to play with. So I'm going to bring my mold back. And I do have this on a piece of wood and a silicone mat, so I can move it out of the way when I'm done. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the N, and then I think I should have enough left to do the L. And that was about 25 milliliters that was left in here. I mixed up 160 total to begin with before I started the video. So to give you an idea of how much epoxy your molds will take up. And that's a big chunk, so I'm going to kind of... Alright, but you can actually see where I was talking about some of the finer glitters, typically the craft glitters you're going to see it in. Like this one's rising to the top, and actually this mix is, I wish I could get it closer, but I can't. This mix is actually sinking to the bottom, what will be the top. So they'll have more of a clear and a more colored front layer, but it's fine. They all do different things. All of the glitters seem to have different densities, and until you use them a lot, you really won't know what one's going to do and what one isn't going to do. But that is it. So I need what? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I did 12 keychains out of the 160 milliliters of epoxy. To fill this entire tray, it would probably take me maybe 400 milliliters. I don't think I've ever had the tray filled completely at once, so I really can't say. I do typically just keep these around for any extra when I'm doing a bigger project. I don't tend to sit down and focus specifically on these unless I'm doing all of my keychain molds. But if you have any questions or need any advice on where to find the parts, I don't know how to set up an Amazon store with links. At some point I'll get around to looking into that and seeing if I can do that, where I can just put my recommended use. Something I failed to mention, when you're assembling keychains, these are just jewelry pliers. You're going to want to have a couple different pairs of these in different sizes on hand. And these are both split ring tools. This is for the larger ones. This is actually a fishing tool. I bought this one at Bass Pro Shop. It opens up. It's great for the keychains themselves rather than struggling to open them. I'll grab one real quick and show you. That little hook drops between the layers and opens it right up for you so you can slide your components in. This tool does the exact same thing, but it works for the tiny split rings that I'm working with for the in-between parts. There's also a ring tool for the jump rings, or you can just take 2 pairs of pliers and twist it apart and then back if you're going that route. So just something else I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in the beginning. Again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, ask any questions. If there's anything you want to see me do, or you need some part slowed down into an isolated video, let me know that too. Thank you so much.